I guess in most of the podcasts that people that I told them if they wanted to be my guest because it, for me was an honor having. So today I'm having here a wonderful person that is Kimberly Linert. Uh, Kimberly is a visionary in every sense because she is a behavioral optometrist. So that is her background. And she's a transformational mentor, she's a global speaker, and she's the host of the Incredible Life Creator podcast. We're going to talk about what is that podcast about. She has 30 years experience. She has helped thousands of people to align their vision because she is an optometrist, but she decided not to align the exterior vision, also the inner vision. We're going to talk about that. So both the internal and the externals, and achieve clarity, joy, and purpose in their life. Wow, it's incredible vision. So Kimberly, I always say that behind every methodology, there is always a mission. There is that personal story. So let's begin here talking about back in the days when you begin your career as an optometrist. Uh, Tell me your story.
Oh, sure. So, as most people know, optometrists are eye doctors who check your eyes for eye health and to see if you need glasses or contact lenses. Normally, we don't do surgery, that's an ophthalmologist. And so I started out doing that. And when I was in school, I went through a rotation for vision therapy.
Mhm.
And that is where you do brain vision exercises to help people perform better. And I had a little boy come in that wasn't doing very well in school, very shy, sweet kid, but very shy. And
Mhm.
so I didn't really know what I was doing either, but I started working with him in this clinic. And as we were going through the weeks, after about 4 or 5 weeks, I said to him, hey, when you come in, you're always happy, you're smiling, you're friendly, you're not so shy. I said, did something change since we've been working together? And he said, well, yes, I don't feel stupid anymore. I said, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you don't feel stupid anymore? And he said, well, in the past, when I had to read out loud in class, everyone would laugh at me because I couldn't read. He said, but now I can read and nobody laughs at me.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, if I can just do that over and over, help people gain the confidence and know that they are worthy, they are brilliant, that they are loved and cared for. If I could just do that over and over again, then that would be a fulfilling life. And basically, that's what I did. I came out of school and I specialized in behavioral optometry, which we have vision clinics where we integrate people's vision and brain. And as I was working over the years, I realized I was doing more brain work than vision work. So it kind of flip flopped from
Wow.
20% brain to, and 80% vision to 80% brain, 20% vision. And the more I worked, the more I realized the more I did the movement parts, like putting people on balance boards, balance beams, trampolines, and integrating the body, then things were really sustainable and really stuck. And so that's where the optic brain fit came in, where I created this whole new way of doing things. So, but that
So
was my mission. My mission is to
for you
help
was
people
like
feel.
a pivotal moment that when you would discover that.
Um, it was just little by little. It was just little by little. But I found that the people. So I worked with some children that were like on the spectrum.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of one person specifically. I won't say names because of patient privacy, but he had been through, he was already 12 when I saw him, and he had been through every therapy you can imagine, but he couldn't concentrate when he was studying. He would hear these voices. He just couldn't attend. And And so I took them through the things that I do. One of the things I do is called stress point therapy, where I put them on a trampoline and they have to do patterns while they're jumping. So every time your feet hit the trampoline, you have to do something. You have to clap, you have to say something, or you have to not say something.
Okay.
So it's really good for people with attention issues, things like that. But he got so good at it, he surpassed anybody I've ever seen. Even some of my athletes, he was doing better than my athletes, and usually they're already good and they just get better. And he was, I mean, I could not fool him. He would do those patterns perfectly every time. And what happened is he could concentrate now. He's no longer hearing these voices. A lot of people think of voices of psychological, but what it was is his brain wouldn't shut down so he could study, so he could concentrate. So now that he had control of his concentration, he had control of his attention, he could choose what he was going to do.
And so how he's doing today? Have you
He's
had?
actually doing great. I stayed in contact with the family, and he is doing voiceovers, and he's very good at
Wow.
it. He's got a very nice voice, so he's got his own little business where he's doing voiceovers. And his parents said, we want to back up besides voiceovers, so now he's at the local technical school doing a business, some kind of business degree.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So he's doing very well. He's doing now, college level stuff and doing very, very well.
Wow, wow, incredible. But there is a journey behind that simple visit, Kimberly, because you were talking about your methodology, so your personal story, how you begin being a simple optometrist, and you discovered that really went deeper because you discovered that there was something else. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed is regardless of who I work with, whether it's a child or an adult or a CEO of a company, it doesn't matter, an athlete, the end result for all of them, no matter what they came in for, is improved confidence and feeling good about themselves and feeling like they can do anything. Because it's just like you talked about earlier, peeling the onion. Well, that's
Hmm.
what you're doing. When you open up your physical vision and make people more able, it actually opens up their internal vision too. And they're seeing, like, oh, I can do more. I can do more. Um, and so I was all of a sudden lost the question. But
No, it's about how because you went deeper because you were peeling the onion.
right.
So
I went deeper, but the reason that I went deeper is because I was just naturally born. I love helping people. I love people seeing people do well. And if I can help people have more confidence, they can do anything.
wow, incredible. So for you, what is the difference between eyesight and vision? Well, there is a difference for you.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times if you go to the eye doctor and you can read the bottom letters on the chart,
Hmm.
2020, they say you have good vision, but it's really good eyesight because if you can see the letter for the seconds it takes to see the letter, then you have good eyesight. But what happens when you're walking around and you have to change your focus,
Hmm.
change your eye movements, track with your eyes and do all the things with your eyes? A lot of times that falls apart. I've had people who, um, as soon as they go into movement
Hmm.
neurologically, their brain forgets. In other words, they lose what they were thinking about as soon as they move.
Wow.
So, when you have good vision, your focus system, your tracking system, your alignment system, and your ability to your visual memory, and also your ability to see something quickly and interpret what you're seeing, that's good vision.
But that is something very profound what you're saying because when the person instead of having eyesight has vision, so now he has a more complex understanding of everything that is surrounding him. So so you can have more clarity too. Correct.
Oh, definitely. You have more clarity. And if you would like, I want to explain maybe the difference between having good vision and just good eyesight.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have good vision, they use their central and their peripheral or side vision together.
Correct.
Central vision is for identification, clarity, seeing where you're going. So if you put this like you're trying to get a goal. So your central vision is the one you look at your goal. Okay, if I always pretend my goal is that mountain in the future, I'm looking at the mountain. I can see the mountain peak. I'm not there, but I see it. I'm getting there. I know I'm going to get there. So if you only use your central vision, it's like you have blinders on like a horse. So if you're walking along and then there's a mountain in front of you or a rock or a big hole,
You
and
will not
all
see
you
it.
can see is the big hole, then you're going to be really frustrated and stressed and feel like I don't have any choices. But
Correct.
what if you turn on your peripheral vision? And the peripheral vision is like you can see the whole map. You can see the whole landscape. So now you can see there's a path over here around the mountain, around the hole or whatever. There's a helicopter over there. If I walk that way, I can get on the helicopter, I can get there faster. So you can see all the ways, and it opens up your possibilities, opens up your choices, um, opportunities. You just feel freer. You feel more relaxed also because think about when you're stressed and you feel stuck and there's a something in front of you and you're like, I don't know how to get around this. You feel angst, upset, stress, anxiety. But if you see that there, but you're like, oh, but I got all these choices. You go through life with ease. You go through life relaxation and feeling good and happy. Like, oh yeah, I can see the ways I can go. I can see the people who can help me. That's a big difference. And so many of us use Central because we're in front of screens all the time.
You're talking about something that is very important because when you are talking that you have a mountain, maybe you're not there, but you already are seeing yourself there. That
Hmm.
has to have with the faith,
Yes.
because now when you have faith is when you can see that has not still materialized, but you already know it's there. And there is a very spiritual concept behind that because uh, sometimes there are things that are not here in the physical world, but they already are there in the spiritual world. So when you have that vision, the spiritual vision, you can bring them here, and that's what faith does. So now we're talking about something important, but it's the outer vision and the inner power. So let's talk a little bit about.
Yes. So people have probably heard this before, but it's true. You imagine in your mind what you want to have in your life. And the research shows that the brain cannot tell the difference between what's actually happening and what your brain is manufacturing. So you can manufacture whatever you want in your brain, and your subconscious mind, it does not know the difference. It thinks that's real. And so if we just step into who we want to become, what we want to do, we just step into that and believe it with the thoughts that this is really happening, and we just keep telling our brain that over and over, it's going to say this is normal. And I've heard the example of someone keeps wishing they have this new sports car, and they're wishing, and they're thinking, and they're thinking, and they're thinking, but they're thinking that they already have it, that they go to the place to pick up their car, that one day when it's finally there, they get in the car and they're driving the car, and they thought they'd feel this excitement or whatever, but it's like, no, this is normal. This is my car. This is this is my car. I knew it was my car.
you know the pastor of my church, he always is talking about this because he loves to combine what the science says and what the faith and the religion talks about. So he the other day was talking about the 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 combination between what you are thinking and what you are praying. So he was saying that when you pray, you have to pray intentionally. Pray for the things that you believe are going to happen, but pray like they already happened. So that
Mhm.
becomes to be for you a, a revelation and the materializations of the things. And he was talking about an example of a Korean pastor, one of the most famous church of the world, one of the biggest, by the way. And he was
Dr.
mentioned,
Cho? Are you talking about Dr. Cho?
yeah, Dr. Cho, correct.
Oh, yes, I love Dr. Cho.
Well, in his book, he mentioned that Dr. Cho mentions that a passage that when he was young and he was poor, he was preaching in a mountain, and then he was always walking, and he wanted to have a bicycle, and he began to pray and imagine how the bicycle was. He mentioned that he was thinking in the details, the color, the rings, the steer, everything. And one day came a pastor, I believe was from the US, to visit him, and his gift was a bicycle. It was exactly the bicycle that he was imagining. So this is the way, the power of when you really believe. And you said something very important, that when you are every day believing and believing that you're retraining your brain, so the vibration of your brains are going to be aligned to that, and then that's where the miracles happen. So it's incredible, and thank you for saying this, because I truly believe in that. So now let's move on a little bit about talking about your podcast, because you begin a podcast, and talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So, um, several years ago, maybe around 15 years ago, there was a doctor that I worked with sometimes when I had really hard cases, and he was a chiropractor neurologist. So if
Okay.
I had cases like I had one lady, one eye looked straight, one eye looked over here, and her eyes would do like this, like Cookie Monster. Her eyes would be doing this. And she was a beautiful woman, like 33, 34 years old. And what had happened is she had two surgeries on her eyes to get them straight. And then they couldn't get it straight, so they did a third surgery, but they did it on her good eye. And then after that, no one would touch her. They said, no, we're not going to do any more surgeries, but now she is worse off than she was before. So she came to see me. In fact, she would actually drive over 2 hours to see me. And I said, okay, I don't know if I can help you, but I'm going to do my best. So I called my friend and I said, hey, I'm going to need help with this one because we need some neurology, we need some other stuff. And what happened in the end is she ended up with straight eyes. She worked very hard, but she ended up with straight eyes. So, but this particular doctor, the neurologist, he suddenly died. He got sick in his late 50s and he just like died. And he was brilliant. And I thought to myself, everything he knows, everything he's always talking about is gone. When his body died, he took all his knowledge with him to heaven. He's gone. And
He
I'm like,
never was thinking to write his book, nothing about it.
nothing, nothing. And so I said to myself, I don't want that to happen to me because at this point I had at least 20 years experience. And I'm like, I have all this experience. I haven't written it down in a book. I don't, uh, so I just wanted to share. I wanted to share it. And so I said to someone, what do you do to share that? And they said, well, you write a book and you become a speaker. So that's what I did. I was trained by some of the best speakers, Les Brown and some other people. And I started speaking and I had my book and I said, I want to even do more. I want to reach more people. So I looked for someone to help me to do like a YouTube channel. And I finally found someone that I only like working with masters. So I found someone I felt was really good, Brian Rose. He's from London. And I learned podcasting from him. And so then I started my podcast. And the podcast, the purpose of it is to help people find their purpose and passion and live it. And I do that by having all sorts of people on there from every walk of life because the idea is to um, spark curiosity and creativity in people so they could think, oh, I never thought of that, but I could do that. And of course, the result is a world where everyone is using their gifts, is happy doing their talents, the thing they naturally are good at, the things that God gave them to do, that they're here doing their God given purpose. Not only that, but they're sharing it with the world, because when we share it, everybody
Yeah,
wins.
yeah,
When you have a gift that you're not sharing, we all lose, not just the person, we all lose.
yeah. You always are talking about that joy, fulfillment, living with intention. So how can people actually create more joy and get what they truly want out of life? What, what is your thought about
I think it's you need to get to know yourself and what makes you light up. Because so many of us are doing things that parents said we should do, or someone influential in our life said you should do this. And we start and we go and we study that and we do it and we're doing it for 10 years and you think, I don't even like this. I don't know why I'm doing this. So
it?
that's, one
It, it,
thing.
it's important what you're saying because I always say that everybody the way that you can really be successful is when you find your purpose. And you cannot imagine people doing things in life that they're not their purpose. So that's why you see people depressed, they don't feel that they're moving on because they didn't find their purpose. So when you find your purpose, you can visualize what you really want to achieve. So what do you think? What is the role that visualization and the focus play when to be successful? What are your thoughts about
Um, this is a little plug for the book, but it fits here. So this book that I wrote,
that? Okay,
Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life,
okay,
it's kind of like a book slash workbook. So at the end of every chapter, there's questions to ask yourself. So the first question is, who am I? Next
oh,
one, what do I like?
wow.
What's important to me? What are my values? If we don't live along with our values, we're going to be unhappy. You've got to live along with your values. And then, how do I put it all together? And at the end of the book, if you go through and you write each thing down as you go, and keep it. Um, I even have you putting it on your calendar. Okay, these are the things I want to do every day. These are the things I'm going to do every week. This is where I'm going to put that big vacation I want to go to. And this is how I make my plan so I can actually have the money and time to do it. So get that book, and that'll help you with that. But, when we're visualizing, we have to know ourselves and we have to know exactly what we want and be specific, just like you said with Dr. Cho and the bicycles. You just have to visualize. And when you're visualizing, you want to put all the emotions with it. You want to, if hopefully you can picture things. Some people can't picture things, believe it or not. They have trouble with pictures, but that's okay. You could still feel it. Some people just feel things. But
Mhm.
if you had a picture, you want to make it bright, colorful, big, right in front of you so you can't even look past it. Hear the sounds really loud. Feel the feelings really loud. If it has something, if it's riding a bike, feel yourself pedaling. What's the emotions you're gonna have? Who's gonna be around you? How are you gonna feel? I'm gonna feel happy. I'm gonna feel exhilarated. I'm gonna feel free. You want to feel all those things. So you can just think about words, but that doesn't do it. It's good to write down what you want because there's a neurological thing between the brain and writing down as
Right,
opposed
right.
to typing on your computer. You want to write it down. You want to visualize it in your mind and you want to feel it.
You mentioned that your book is visualization happiness. So, how do the vision and the emotional clarity connect with the happiness
How is the vision and the
and the emotional clarity connect with the happiness?
ah? So the thing is your subconscious mind it responds to emotions.
Okay.
So think about if you've ever had a traumatic event, sometimes we make decisions during that traumatic event that affect the way we make decisions later that not are not always beneficial for us. So we need to clear those. There's a way to clear those. But also think of a time when you were so happy, you had your birthday party or something. Those emotions and those memories stick and they're alive and you can think about them again and experience them again. And so if you just have something written down, like, oh, I want to make, 50 sales this month and well, you can't just write down I want to make 50 sales this month. I mean, you can, but good luck. You know, you want to put emotions like, when I make 50 sales this month, I'm going to take myself out to dinner and I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah,
And
you
you
want
think
to
about,
you want to give you some
you're going
eh,
to celebrate. Yeah,
yeah.
when things are the way you want to celebrate, you want to ingrain that into that subconscious mind because whatever you give it, it gives you more of. So you keep
So
giving it good stuff, it gives you more.
you're saying something so true that people are sometimes so hard with themselves that they don't celebrate even the small wins. Even small wins you have to celebrate because you know that's what life is. Baby step, you're fulfilling things in life. So you always also talk about eliminating blind spots and unlocking clarity. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is the intention of that?
Yeah, so we all have blind spots. When we drive
Mhm.
the car, even we have blind spots. So there's things we cannot see. So one way you can eliminate blind spots is having a mentor who knows how to help you
Oh yeah,
work through those and actually remove those because you need a third person basically.
yeah.
Even if it's your best friend, sometimes we don't want to hear it, but our best friends say, you were kind of mean to that person. And you're like, I was just, being myself and proving my point. And you're like, no, you were kind of mean to that person. So we need that third party to come
Mhm,
on and just
mhm.
kind of tell us, hey, you're not interpreting this right. I mean, it's the same with vision. Certain people have a certain way their eyes work, and there's something called convergence insufficiency, which is really common, where people always think that things are further away than they are. And so you'll have the passenger saying, "Honey, you're too close to the car. You're too close to the car," and they're like, "I'm fine. I'm far enough away."
And boom.
But but they're not seeing. They're really not seeing it right. The wife is seeing it right, but the husband is not seeing it
Yeah,
right.
very very true. Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you something about that. That when you talk about mentorship, it is important. And there are people that sometimes they don't think they can be a mentor to others. But when you're a step behind and you already have crossed some bridges, you should really take a look back, see the others, and give her the hand. So you become a mentor. So sometimes the people have that, that sense that they really cannot be a mentor, but you can be a mentor to others because you can be a step behind. And yourself, if you're still not there, when you look for a mentor or a coach, what you're doing is doing a quantum leap of things that maybe will take long time to you to achieve.
Mhm.
So that's why the people really need mentors. That is very important. So let's talk about that. You mentioned about the joy, the fulfillment, and living with intention. So how can the people create joy? So it's very difficult here. What are your thoughts about that?
I always tell, my kids and people that life is a sine wave. The
Mm-hmm.
sine wave goes up and down
Mm-hmm.
over this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line here, and it
Mm-hmm.
goes up and down over the line. And there's going to be happy things we like and things we really don't like. So part of creating happiness is and joy is don't go way up here and don't go way down here because that causes stress and upset and anxiety. So if we can learn to control our emotions, even though we want to experience everything because that's life.
Mm-hmm.
We think we don't want to do the bad stuff, but we do because we wouldn't know it was good if we didn't have what was bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you can just make it so that you really enjoy this here, and then when you come down here, you take it with um you look at it maybe even from a third party. I'm like, okay, I know this is happening, but I'm not going to let this make me go way down into depression, or it's not going to make me go way below where I can handle coming back up, like no place of no return. So if you can just control that, and I've heard people say this before, the 10-second rule. If something sounds really bad or feels really bad, okay, breathe, 10 seconds. Okay, what is really happening here? Um, and what control do I have? What parts do I have control of? Some things we don't. I mean, your son or daughter is in a car accident. You don't have control over that except for, to pray, because you can pray and ask God to help them. But I mean, you at that point you have to give it to the doctors or whatever. So what control do I have? And then how can I see it even from a different perspective? A lot of times I talk about people seeing things from different perspectives. You can see it through your own eyes. You can see it from the eyes of another person. You can see it by, I call it going up into the balcony at church. You can sit in the balcony at church and you can see everything happening
The
down there.
eagle vision.
Yeah, yeah. So you look down and you can see the person at the front. You can see the people in the sitting in the front. You can see the person blowing their nose. You can see the little kid running up and down eating crackers, getting crackers all over. You, you can see everything, and when you can pull yourself away emotionally and see everything, that also helps because I know as a single parent, I was a single parent most of my growing up life with having kids, and I knew that I had to be okay emotionally no matter what happened. And so I had different things I could do to help myself. If I started going in that depression or feeling alone or feeling like helpless, some things I would do is I would put on music that makes me happy.
Hmm.
I have a little rebounder trampoline. I would jump on the trampoline and put the music. I go for
Okay.
a walk outside. I call my mom or I call a friend or I do something. I like to paint, so I would do some art. I would do something, just take a break. For some people, it's
Yeah.
just take a bath or go shoot some baskets in basketball, something just to move away, relax yourself, get a new perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I always mention it. It's part of my speech, by the way, that in any situation you always have to stay calm and focused.
Mm,
And when you're calm and focused, your vision is focused in the situation.
mhm,
And when you're focused, you can see the things that you can control and the things that you cannot control. And
mhm,
that is key because when you have those tools, you can say, okay, this is not on my control. So you let it go.
mhm,
That doesn't mean that you're not going to take care, but you now are conscious that it's there, but you cannot influence.
mhm,
That gives away a lot of feelings, but now you're in a more clear position. And not only that, now you can see the things with more clarity because now you're having that step back, that vision that you're saying that you're here and so yeah, we're talking about mostly the same thing. So this has been a great conversation. But by the way, another thing that I see that you do is a lot of retreats. So you have been doing mentorship retreats and trying to transform life because I feel that passion in you. Let's talk a
mhm.
little bit about that.
Yes. So I haven't done a lot of retreats lately, actually. That's on my to-do list, but
Mhm.
I tend to like to work very closely, deeply with people. So when I do any type of like workshop or retreat, I like it to be 12 people less, 8 people, because we're going to go really deep. So um, one of the things I learned even from natural medicine and energetic medicine is before you start to detox somebody, you put the safety net.
Mhm.
So first, I build up the people, see where they're at, make sure they're in the good place and they're healthy enough to start a transformation. Then, the maybe that's in the evening before. And then the first full day, we're going to start looking at what are those blind spots. Okay, let's clear those blind spots. Let's remove the things that are not beneficial for you. So I worked with a lady a couple of weeks ago and we just had a follow up yesterday. And, she was she had difficulty with confidence because she was in IT and a lot of men in IT. And a lot of times when the women they try to talk, the men they just like talk over them, whatever. They don't give them the floor like they should. And so she was really upset about this. So we worked on that and now she feels confident. She went to a networking event. Not only did she speak up and tell people her thoughts, but the organizer invited her for a meeting. So when we change those blind spots and change the way we look at things by removing the blind spots, then we make new decisions and more new opportunities come up. So we're going to work through those, but very gently, very personally, because I want people to leave in their new identity. It's all about identity, choosing who you want to be.
That's great. You're talking about something that very important. We have something that we do. By the way, it's gonna be done this weekend in my church. There is a retreat, but it's very transformational because one of the things that is a 2 day retreat. This is done like every quarter, and it's a 2 day retreat. And one of the things that the intention is that not only you discover your real identity, but try to forgive all the things and the people that you have crossed your path, and maybe you don't have very deep inside you. Not only people that you hurt, people maybe that hurt you. So it's very important when you begin to have that clarity because you begin to see things that maybe you have there, but you don't remember. I have a very close friend that she's a neuroscientific. And she always mentioned me that the brain has that when you have had some difficult situation, he tried to, it's a mechanism of defense that you hide it here like in a closet. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so you begin to hide those things here, and when the brain perceives that it's in a most safe space, so those memories be, begin to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're not prepared to begin to receive those memories back because
Mm-hmm.
it can be painful. So talk a little bit about that and,
Yeah,
and
I
that
mean that
combination.
that makes total sense. And just to go back to the forgiveness, forgiveness is so important. When you don't forgive, you physically get sick.
Oh
You
yeah,
emotionally, mentally, spiritually get sick. You can't help but get sick because when you don't forgive, you are hurting yourself.
yeah.
A lot of times you think you're hurting the other person, but you're not. You're just hurting yourself. And it's almost like you have a cord from your belly button to their belly button, and you don't know it, but you're angry at them and they're
Hmm.
just sucking the life out of you. They don't know
Yeah,
they're sucking the life out of you, but you know, all the energy is going away because of lack of forgiveness. So
yeah,
I don't care what happened. I know some really horrible things happen in the world, but you need to forgive, for yourself. That doesn't mean that it's okay what people do. It's not okay what people do, but you still need to forgive them. And so, but yeah, any traumatic event, like you said, it's still in your mind and it has a strong hold, and if we don't remove those, and some of the
hmm,
processes I do help people to go back and look at them without talking about them, which I like. A lot of times people go to therapists and they want them to talk about the problem for years. I'm like, oh no, I think that embeds it. So the processes I use, you just go back and you find that memory and you look at it without any emotion. You look at it from way far away from it and you find what things that you learned from it. You just get the positive things out of it, and once you get the positive things out of it, you look down at it and so, well, this is what happened, and really I don't have to make decisions based on that anymore. And then you start making decisions in a different way. So yeah, we need to go back and be aware of them. So part of the problem with these things, like you said, it's back here and then all of a sudden here it comes. It's
Mm-hmm.
because they're hidden. So
Mm-hmm.
when we shine the light on them, they can't hide anymore. And when they can't hide anymore, they can't fool us anymore.
Oh
Because
yeah.
really, they're fooling us. They're fooling us,
Mm-hmm.
and we're making decisions based on the lie.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And in other hand, sometimes when these memories begin to come back and you are, as I said, sometimes you're not prepared, but you decided to say, okay, this happened to me. I cannot control this situation, but I forgive that person. Maybe the person already is gone.
Hmm.
Maybe the person is already gone. But if even if you decide to forgive them, it's really healing. It's really healing. Let's talk about, because I'm surprised how you did that transition to being a simple optometrist to really being a very holistic view, because you converted the treating the normal vision, going deeper on what is the real vision, the holistic vision. How was that transformation in your life? What moved you to do that?
Yeah. I mean, it really started years ago with just my basic optometry practice. So when my kids were little, my older daughter, she had a nose that would not stop running. I mean, it was always horrible. And and I'm like, what do I do with this? And somebody said, well, go see this Dr. Barry Hill. He'll help her. And he was a naturopathic doctor. At that point, I'd never known about naturopathic doctors. And he gave her some things and told her not to eat certain things. And guess what? The runny nose went away.
Well,
So after that, I started studying more natural things. So I really balanced my practice with Western medicine and natural medicine from really early on. In fact, I even had people who would come to me specifically, even if they had to drive further, they would come to see me because they wanted a natural treatment. They didn't want to have to use the other things.
a bunch of pills.
Right, right. But also a lot of people they wanted to be able to get out of their glasses, and I also had techniques for that. So they wanted to not have to wear glasses or contacts, things
Okay.
like that. So it really started there. But also I also at that point, I think I started doing um self-improvement, personal development stuff, maybe in college, but I really got into it when my son was about 6 months old. So I went into learning about myself and about psychology and about how people think and things like that. So it's already been studying it for years and years and years. And so it's already just part of me. Also, when I work with people in the therapy room, I don't just look at their vision. I look at when they walk into the room, I see how they're walking. Are they this? Are they this? I'm seeing what they're looking at. I'm seeing if they're like this. There's people walking in like this. There's people walking in like this, all, moving around. Um, there's kids that come in and touch everything in your whole office before they sit in the chair. But I had to look at all the things. So I had to learn nutrition. I learned energetic medicine and bioenergetic medicine. I learned light therapy, essential oils, supplements, muscle testing. So I learned all these variations of different kinds of healing, and I learned many trauma clearing techniques. So I've been practicing them for 25, 30 years already. So it was just natural for me to come out into this because when people come to me, they either want rehabilitation or enhancement. But either way, all of them want more confidence. All of them want to feel better. All of them want to do better. So I've already been kind of doing that my whole life. And it just was easy to transfer into helping even more people because only so many people can come to you locally.
Wow. 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 Incredible. Incredible. And I always make this question to my guest because, as I said, all of you are expert in your area. There always is a case that has impacted your life that maybe even can have been broken your heart. So, what mention one case without mention names, but some case that really broke your
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of it right away.
heart. Oh, you had it. You had it. Okay, that's great.
So, um, when I had my private practice, it was very small little practice, and I was trying to make people feel like at home, you know. So, in fact, when I first started, and I had a partner that said you can't keep doing that, but when I first started my practice, I would come out to the see the patient. I wouldn't have the nurse take them back. I would come out and say, "Hi, I'm Dr. Linert." I would hug them. And my partner at the time, who was like the business partner, he's like, you know, not everybody likes that. Like, it was natural for me just to hug people. But so one day I was waiting for this little boy to come in. We were going to do a 3-hour evaluation. And when I opened the door and they were coming in, he walked in with his dad, and the door was half open and he was looking down. He wouldn't look up. And like I could feel like he wasn't crying, but he wanted to cry. He doesn't want to come in. He's looking down. And finally, when he comes in, I look at him, he's got this patch on his eye.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, no wonder he's looking down. And when I checked him, the eye that wasn't patched, he could only see 2400, which is the big E.
Wow.
That's all he could see. So
Wow.
basically, they took this kid and the good eye he could see with, they covered it. So now he can't see anything. So he's walking around, going to school, can't see anything because they're patching him. They got
Wow.
this sticker patch on him.
Mhm.
I'm like, come on in. And I was like, take the patch off. And of course, I tracked him, everything. But so when I was 2400, the biggie, and when I was 2020, perfect vision. That's the one they were covering. So we did, me, the therapist, we did therapy with him, and he worked really hard at it. The parents worked really hard at it. And he went from the biggie 2400 to 2030, which is almost unheard of. I have some people that happened though, because depends on how hard the people work. So they worked hard. And he got down to 2030 in that eye and 2020 in the other eye.
Wow.
So what happened also is when he finished the therapy, he came back for his 1 month checkup, and I said, "How are things going?" And the dad said, "He's doing so good." He was 6 years old, so he's little. He's 6 years old, and he said he just won the state championship in karate.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because he could balance, because he could see, because he could function now.
It changed his life, huh?
Yeah, it changed his life. And one little kid wants to walk around with a patch and can't see.
Wow, wow, incredible, incredible. Good, good for you. Yeah, it's incredible how you can change life and make a difference. Wow. So, what is for you the future? What is your vision? How you see yourself in? Because you have done a lot. You had a long career. Your career has been really not only successful, you have make a change because you had transformed the normal practice in something really holistic, more going profoundly in the to help person. So, what is your next move?
So at the very base, I know my purpose here is to help people feel loved, important, and needed. And whatever I do is to help people feel like they are enough, they can step into who they're supposed to be, and they can show the world that, and they can just come out fully. And so, what I want to do is what I'm still doing. Any way I have to help people feel loved, important, and needed. And I do that, but like on the podcast, when people come in, I don't always agree with everything they're saying or doing, but it's their chance to be authentic, be themselves, and share who they are and what they're doing.
Correct.
So anything that can help me to do that, to help more people, whether it be one on one, whether it be in groups, whether it be speaking or through the airwaves, that's what I'm doing.
So we're getting almost to the end. So there comes now my 5 minutes for your pitch. So take your 5 minutes to say where the people can find you, anything that you want to talk about you.
Okay. So, I got rid of my website because it needed a new one. So now I have a bunch of links on Linktree. But also, if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook mostly. I haven't figured out Instagram yet. So, but either one of those two places you can find me. Also, I'm always looking for amazing guests for my podcast to show people something unique and different that you're doing that will inspire them. So, please connect me with that. If you feel like you're at a point in your time where you're not feeling as happy or satisfied with life as you would like to be, then book a 15-minute call with me. I have a little thing on the LinkedIn where you can go in, or not the LinkedIn. I think it's on LinkedIn too, but it's on the link tree where you can book a call and we can talk about it. And if there's something I can help you with, I will. If not, I have a huge network of people, and I'm sure I can find someone who can help you.
We're going to leave here the links of all our social medias, and when we put it in YouTube also, we're going to do it. So I got to coming to the end because this has been a very inspiring session. Really, really, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I love what you're doing, and to be honest, I knew what you were doing, but didn't have that. One of the things that I'm enjoying today with this podcast is that people that I have been connected and have been part of my journey, I'm beginning to know them more in their personal thing, because and sometimes the people really has been surprising. So I have been connected to people that honestly I admire you guys, but I now admire you more because I have more knowledge about that really what you do. So coming to the end, in a last minute, what would be a message that you want to leave to those that are feeling they have uncertainty, they are stuck in their personal life or in their business? So what would be a message to them?
So many things I can say, and I hope you are open to this, but um, I'm a Christian. Jesus is my savior, and to get really true joy, certainty, you need to have a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's so true. So I'm a Christian too. So God bless you. Let me tell you, this is the only way to find the joy. It's through Jesus. Is really, really, and I don't want to, because I respect the people that profess any other religion, but Jesus is the path. He's the Savior, and not only that, through Him is that we can connect with God, and there's where we can find the joy. So yeah, so true. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for
Yes.
saying that. And well, God bless you. That has been a wonderful conversation. Well, we're coming to the end, so I'm going to give you the last 1 minute to say whatever you want to say.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for letting me come on your show, and thank you for the wonderful questions. And I have so much love and respect for you and what you're doing to help people. And just, I mean, every day you're helping people, you're showing people how to be resilient and to keep on going when they feel like they can't. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And I don't know what else to say. I'm just so thankful and grateful, and I hope anyone here, you talked about, feeling joy. You feel joy when you find something you're grateful for, even if it's hot water coming out of the wall. Find something to be grateful for.
And express gratitude.
Yes.
Express gratitude. Well, we're coming to the end. For the audience that's hearing this, if you want to know more about Kimberly, as she said, she has her LinkedIn, and she has her link and her Facebook. You can contact her. That this is part of the series Meet the Expert. Next week, we're going to have another wonderful guest. We're having incredible guests. So I'm really enjoying this. And well, this came to the end. Thank you for being here, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Jose.
Bye bye.
Bye.
In the face of adversity, true leaders rise. This is the power of resilient leadership. But when crisis strikes, How do they respond? They adapt, they innovate, they persevere. That's the essence of resilient leadership, turning setbacks into comebacks.